Drafted tickets claim over my heart. I have tried to hold
Trying to hold it all together, you guys. Trying to hold it all together. Christian single mom life. I can't even sit through a church service. I feel like I'm just gonna have a breakdown. Today's message was amazing. And kind of want to talk to you about what was being taught, but at the same time I want to tell you what I was thinking during service this whole time. I don't even know where to begin. I am struggling so bad, you guys. My heart is hurting. It's even hard for me to pray right now, to be honest with you guys, because my heart is hurting. God is so good. And I just pray that this message will help someone, because I'm struggling with this. Okay. So today's message is about the body of Christ and how we are changed through Christ and our salvation. We are made out of dust and sin and corruption, and we have to be transformed in the renewing of Jesus Christ, accepting Him in His salvation, the free gift that He has given to us by laying Himself down for us on the cross. And what does that mean to a believer? We also talked about how God in His love never fails. He never gives up on us. He never gives us too much than we can handle. Right there with us through the storm of life. In all situations. And even through a divorce that you don't understand why it's happened. And a divorce on why your husband has changed and you don't even know what's going on. Why am I a single mom? Once again, something I promised myself I would never do. And when I chose my husband to marry him, something I was told I wouldn't do. Okay, guys, I had to get Sonic, and then my friend called, and we were on the phone for a while, and she just let me go. But I'm just kind of driving around town. I didn't end up going to the lake. I thought I was going to go to the lake, but I sat there and had my Sonic and got my vanilla Coke, and thinking about what I was going to say to you guys on this video. And I'm just going to kind of tell you what me and my friend were talking about. So, today at church, there was a really cute guy sitting in front of me at church. And, you know, I'm divorced, so I'm sitting there with my parents, and I'm thinking about this guy that's sitting in front of me. He looks like he's younger than me. My mom's 4 years older than my dad, so, you know, I don't want a baby. So I was praying, oh dear God, I pray that I find out that this guy is not a baby, you know, 10 years younger or something. But he's kind of cute, and I'm analyzing him. I am looking him over from head to toe. I'm looking at his shoulders. He's got big shoulders, and he looks like he's going to be taller. And He's kind of cute from the back. I looked at his ears, and I was analyzing every inch of his body. I looked at his bottom and backside. I was like, that's kind of nice. I looked at his hands. His hands remind me of my husband's hands, and there was something about my husband's hands, and he's a welder, and he had big, strong hands. It reminded me of my grandpa's hands. These are the things that I look at when I'm looking for a guy that I like. This is the first time I have ever looked at a guy as in, I wonder if. But what started the whole thing is we were standing there singing our worship songs in church, and I saw this guy had a Bible. And so when we sat down, and he grabbed his Bible, and I sat there and watched as he was reading the Bible, and I was watching him as we were singing, and he was singing, and I was trying to listen for his voice, and then I was praying, dear God, if you want me to start liking this guy, I pray that I don't find anything wrong with him. Or if you want me to like this guy, I pray that you will play an old hymn right after this song that we were singing that I didn't know, so I could belt it out. And sure enough, I couldn't even get the prayer out of my thought, and How Great Thou Art came on, and they started singing that one. And then I was like, okay, dear God, okay, so maybe you want me to talk to this guy. Give me some way of communicating with this guy, just to see if he likes me. Let me hear him talk, something like that. So he was sitting between his dad and his grandma, and his grandma, after service, says, hey, tell your dad. She had a hearing aid in, so she was kind of loud, and she's like, hey, tell your dad I want a new Bible. And so I said, I kind of interrupted their whole conversation just to get in there and start talking to this guy. And he said, oh, you want a new Bible? Okay. Grabbing his Bible from underneath the chair, and I said, oh, I said, you got a Bible? I said, it's always good to have a Bible, and I pointed to his Bible, because I was just thinking, man, it's so nice to see a guy with a Bible. My ex-husband never took his Bible to church. He would have his phone and do everything on his phone, but not a man who carries a Bible to church. It was so impressive to me. And so I was just trying to butt into their conversation and trying to get this guy so I could hear him talk. He had kind of a country accent. I'm in the Midwest in Kansas City, so it's kind of cool. And I'm thinking, hey, you know what? I got some property. Maybe this guy can come out here and help me with my property. But I was just kept thinking about, man, maybe this guy could come out here and help me with this property with the strong hands that he has, I was just sitting here thinking about this guy this whole time during the service, and how can I get to talk to him? And God found a way for me to talk to him a little bit. And, I was praying, oh, dear God, I pray that he likes me, or he turns around and looks at me, or I can talk to him somehow, or, and God actually made it happen. But the whole time I'm sitting there in service, listening to the service, which I will get to in a minute, the first thought that came to my mind, and I told my friend this, was as soon as I started liking this guy and started analyzing, maybe I could talk to this guy or something. The first thought that came to my mind is, you have been married 3 times with 3 different men, and you are used and abused, and no man is ever going to want to be with you. Ever. And all of a sudden, I felt like one of those scarlet letter women. You know, maybe I have a big A written on me. I just felt, I'll just say it, I felt raped. I felt like I have been so emotionally and spiritually and physically abused. I feel worthless. What kind of man would ever want someone who's been married 3 times, has 3 different ex-husbands? My goal in life was never to be with all these men and have these children by these men. And now I no longer can have children. These children need their fathers in their life. These children that I have need their fathers to love their mother. That's what's best for these children of mine, is for our family to be back together. It's what God commanded my spouse, is to never leave us. Love is worth fighting for. Love is a promise, a marriage covenant that he made with God, is to love me and my boys. And he was never supposed to leave. And I took it for granted, our faith. I took it for granted that he believed the same as me when he didn't. And I took it for granted that my love for my husband that I had was reciprocated, and it wasn't. And now I feel used and abused. I feel as if I've been thrown in the trash because I'm worthless. And God is just telling me that, you know, I need a miracle in my life. I was telling my friend what I really, really need to see, and what I really desire is not a new man in my life. I want the man I love. I want my husband back. I want the commitment. And I want him to make the right choice. And I want him to be the one with the Bible at the church singing really loud, even though my ex-husband couldn't carry a tune. I saw and loved my husband as God saw and loved my husband. And it's very difficult for me now to love and see my husband as God does, because he's turned his back on me. He's rejected me. And I know that God still loves him, even though he has rejected God. But his decisions that he's made, especially since our divorce, has been just pulled over for no reason, and then there was a squirrel right in the middle of the road. I don't know what if they were going to go pick it up or what, but there was like 10 cars behind me that all stopped. You know, I just feel like it's just one of those things where I just don't understand what has happened to men in general, that they can just easily walk away from their marriages as Christians. And I know several men who have done this. I work at a daycare where it's mostly all single women. For example, I have a coworker who I work with, and we both close at the daycare every night. And she said that she had her ex-husband come come up to get the girls, and she's got 2 little girls, and they're under the age of 2, both of them. So they are tiny, tiny. And he is like giving her money for her house payment, and he is providing her cell phone for her, and he's giving her these things to help. And he says that is for the children. It is so you can be a better mom. You can be the mom that my kids deserve. And he loves her still. He is still showing those girls that he loves his child. And I was just like, wow, there are actually guys out there who care about their children and don't want to take them from their mothers. And then I watched the movie last night, Fatherhood, with Kevin Hart, and how him as a single dad would do anything for his daughter. He loved his daughter, and he wanted to be the best dad ever. And he always reminded her of her mother and how wonderful her mother was. And I was just like, there are some men out there who are doing what's right. There is a man sitting at my church in front of me who's not only good looking, but he has got his Bible. And guess what the message was about today? Let's talk about that. The message today was about how when you become a believer, you ask Jesus into your heart, how you are transformed, and how you are no longer in that sinful life that you once had, and how you are a new person in Jesus, how God created you. In 1 Corinthians, he talks about this, how you were created for God's glory. You are created. And then the pastor says, why are you stuck in sin? Or why are people stuck in their sin? Well, he says it's because it's a choice that you have made. You have chosen to live that sinful life. You have not allowed yourself to be transformed in Jesus Christ. Therefore, you cannot be a believer in Jesus Christ, because even Satan believes in Jesus. But God wants to transform you as a believer. And you won't want to have that sinful life. We are changed when we accept Jesus Christ into our lives. We are still sinful, but we don't want to live that life of sin. We make mistakes. We are not perfect human beings as the body of Christ, but we don't want to live that lifestyle. And as I'm sitting here looking at this guy in church service, throughout the whole service, I'm just thinking about this guy. I'm also thinking about my husband. I'm thinking about my marriage. I'm thinking about how it was his choice to have this divorce. And the pastor, right at that moment, as I'm thinking that, pastor says, God will not give you anything that you cannot handle. God is right there with you. He loves you no matter what you're doing. He is calling out to you. He is wanting that relationship with you. As a single mom looking for a new spouse, or for the old spouse, I want that spouse to want to love me. I want that spouse to want to do what's right. I want that spouse to be so right with God that he is equipping himself. He's got that Bible. He's singing those worship songs. He is right there in church, worshiping God, whether I'm sitting here right beside him, behind him, or in front of him, or I'm sitting at home, not even at church. I want that Christian man to be in my life that is fully equipped with the full armor of God in his life. And if you are fully equipped with that full armor of God, Satan cannot penetrate your mind because you got that helmet of salvation. Satan can't penetrate your heart because you got that breastplate of righteousness. He cannot tip you over and help you and make you fall in sin because you are on that firm foundation. You got the belt of truth wrapped around you and you are standing firm. 1 Corinthians, this was chapter 15 we were talking about, talks about how you need to stand firm. As a believer, Paul is telling the church of Corinthians that they must, it says must, you must stand firm. You must. And it talks about Satan is like a roaring lion out to destroy you. And he is wanting to knock you out. He's going to want you to feel hopeless and worthless and worth no value. But what we are learning about is how love never fails. Love never fails. God's love for us never leaves us. He gives us what we need. We are fully equipped. If you're not fully equipped to withstand the trials of being a single mom, then you need to get right with God, because He gives you everything you need. And I'm sitting here looking at a new man in my life, or I'll sit there and I'll look at other marriages. We're having a marriage conference come up. This is a marriage conference that my husband and I went to together. We listened to videos that night and had a dinner, listening to Greg Groeschel in his little mini series on From This Day Forward. Love. How to love your spouse. Especially in the days that we're living in right now, where lawlessness abounds. How do you get out of that life of sin? How do you turn your life around? I've said in my other videos, and I was telling my friend, I'm sitting here looking at this new guy that I'm kind of attracted to. And all I could think about is my husband. The father of my son, who just woke up one day and said, I don't love you. I love myself more. That's what he says. And if he ever had a moment where he got right with God, he would repent. He would fall on his face. He would want to come back to me. He would break up with his girlfriend, and he would be right, do what's right, fix his marriage, come back to his wife and his family. Because that's what God commanded us to do, is never leave each other. Because that's not love. And I'm struggling, guys, because how can I even be thinking about being with someone else when I made a commitment to love my husband? Even though I've never cheated on him, I never left him, I've never wanted to leave him. Because I feel like if I left my husband, I would have left God. And I can't leave God. Even as a single mom, and it's tough. The struggle's really real. I can't leave my God. It's not that bad. Yep, I'm divorced. Yep, my husband's filed for a motion and he's trying to take my child from me. But God is being faithful. God is not going to allow my faith to falter and fail. He's not going to fail me. And God loves me. Even when I feel used and abused, God is loving me. God is showing me that He cares. And God has that man out there for me. Whether it's a new man or whether it was my husband. God's working on him. You know, I was praying during church, dear God, please work on this guy. I pray that this is maybe someone He wants me to be with. I don't know. The other day, I was telling my friend, there's a neighbor. Two dogs going across the street. They are the neighbors. And she's calling the dogs back home. There is a guy who lives 2 apartments up from me, blaring Christian music. This guy is a divorced single dad. His wife lives 2 streets over the other way. We are divorced at the exact same time. And what he was listening to was K-Love music. Thank you. Another cute guy. He just let me go. It was his... That guy had the right of way, and he just let me go. Thank you, nice man. But there was a guy, my neighbor, two apartments over from me, was blaring his K-Love music. And I thought, hey, that Christian divorced man, that was so nice to know that he's listening to K-Love music. K-Love is encouraging. K-Love is helping us believers. And whether his relationship with God is strong or not strong, I don't know. But God is still working on us. He is still molding us to make those right decisions. And I found myself praying for that neighbor, that if he is a Christian and he's listening to K-Love, that he is doing what is right in his marriage. He did give his wife the house for the children, and he has his every other weekend, and he spends his time every other weekend. Other than that, he works hard to provide for his kids. And that's the kind of man I want in my life. I want a man who is going to help take care of his kids, love his child's mother, and do what's right and follow God's commandments. It's not a lot to ask for. It's not. And God has given me peace today. He's told me, as I was talking to my friend on the phone, and as I was going to Sonic, I was going to go to the lake, and I was going to reflect, and I ended up just going around in a big circle and going through 2 towns to go to Sonic. But I took a long drive, and God has told me through talking to you guys here on YouTube, making this video right now, He's saying He's got it. He's got that man in my life. Whether it's my ex-husband, whether it's a new man in my life, And just like the message that was today is, I'm transformed as a Christian. I want to talk about God in my life and his love for me. That's how I'm making it as a single mom, is I don't need my husband. I chose my husband, and I still love my husband, but I love God first and foremost, and always and forever. And I'm excited for what is to come in my life, because it's only going to get better from here. God's going to give me the joy in my heart that I need as a Christian single mom. He's going to give me that love. He's going to give me that husband. He's going to give me the life I need. And my kids are going to be taken care of, and they're going to be provided for. And I'm going to get that love. He says, I commanded your husband to love you. And not only did he break the covenant with you or with me, God says he broke the covenant with me. And I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And these divorces are wrong. They're just flat out wrong. And you can't change it, because it was the choice of that other spouse. You can only live through it. And I am just thinking of the daycare song, going on a bear hunt. Gotta catch a big one. Can't go over it. Can't go under it. Gonna have to go right through it. So, going on a bear hunt, that song, it just has all these different obstacles, the scary woods that you have to go through, or the hills, or the mud, and you're stomping through the mud, and can't go over it, can't go under it, but you're gonna have to go right through it, right through the struggles of life. And we make our own choices. We have to live with our own consequences. And when I think of things like that, where am I at? How did I get here? It's because of my faithfulness to God. I'm not happy in my apartment, you guys. I have the worst neighbors ever. I want them out. But God has already told me what he's going to do for me. All my dreams, all my visions, and all of my desires that he has given me in my heart is going to become a reality. And if I die, I really win, because I'll be in heaven with Jesus. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. What do I have to lose? What do I have to fear? I have Jesus as my blessed hope. You too can have that blessed hope in your life. Just give your life over to Christ. Accept him and his free gift of salvation. Do what's right. I'm happy doing what's right. I'm happy that I have not moved forward with dating any other men. I've had my opportunities. I've had a couple guys that have talked to me, that have wanted to get with me as soon as my divorce was over. And I chose not to. I chose to love my husband, and he knows it. I've told him. I've chosen to remain faithful, do what's right, and what I've commanded by God to do. So don't lose hope. That's what Satan wants to do. He wants to win. He wants you to lose your hope. So, hope this was encouraging. I thank you guys so much for watching. I just want to be real honest with you. Single mom life. Sunday afternoon. I'm going to go in. I'm going to start working in my garage. hopefully you get some things done today. And I pray that you guys have a blessed, peaceful Sunday afternoon. Bye.